everyone. This is Criminal Profiler Pat Brown, and this is Dear Profiler Pat, where you send me your questions and ask for advice, and I give some. And I hope that whatever I say helps you in some way, and I hope it helps the other viewers as well. If you'd like me to answer a question, please send an email to profilerpatbrown@gmail.com and put in the subject line, Dear Profiler Pat, and also check my playlist. All right. And subscribe to the channel. Do that. Okay, so Dear Profiler Pat, why don't I have good friends like I did when I was young? If you're asking this question, it may be because you're close to my age, or maybe you're hitting your 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever it is, and you're looking back and you're thinking about the times when you had that best friend, when you had a group of good friends, when you have people to spend all this time with, who you could call up and say, "Hey, let's get together," and they're like, "Oh my God, yes," and you always had somebody to do something with, or you had a best friend who would do everything with you. And now you're like sitting at home going, God, I'm bored. And I wish I had somebody to take a walk with. I wish I had somebody to go to lunch with. I wish I had somebody to go on a trip with. Maybe especially if you're a single person, you don't have a partner, and you live alone, and you wish you could have more people in your life, and you, especially friends, good friends. And you're like, where the hell are they? Where did they all go? Well, I'm going to give you some understanding of whether you even ever did have good friends, because understand this: there are those of us who are very popular, and those of us who were never popular. So I know when I went to high school, there were girls in high school who had always people around them. They had a ton of friends. They could have a party and people would show up. I would never take that chance on giving a party, because it would be embarrassing and humiliating when nobody came. So they had these parties. People would show up, slumber parties, dance parties, whatever. They could call up a bunch of girlfriends, and they would all get together, and they would do all these different outings together. They might go on dates together. Those are things I never did, because I was not popular. I didn't have a whole bunch of friends. I think I had a couple friends. Yeah, I had a couple friends when I was in high school. And let me tell you, I do remember the feeling of those friends was a stronger feeling than I have way later in life ever had again. And I think that's because, here's one reason: we go to school and we spend all day long with these people. These people we see day in and day out, and many times during the day. And then when there are our events, whether it be Girl Scouts or whether it be football games, we see them again. And sometimes they live in our neighborhood, so we see them on the bus, we walk home with them. So we have a constant interaction with them. We get to know them. And even if maybe we don't have as much in common as we might think, because we're always around each other, they're like family. They're connected to us. And so you get that very strong feeling with them. And then of course, sometimes there's one or two that really stand out during your school years, where you do spend a lot of time with them. You end up being, hey, we're in this high school together, and hey, I need a friend and you need a friend, so let's hang out together. And so you do, and then time goes on and they go off to college, or they get married and move away, and suddenly those friendships kind of vanish. And now, mind you, if you're one of those people that stayed in your hometown, you might still have those, and your friends stayed in that hometown, you might still have that strong connection 20, 30 years later, because they've always been there, and they're right down the street. And then you both had kids, and then you went through your pregnancies together, and then you raised your kids, and you played at each other's house. The kids, the play dates at each other's houses. You were always together. Maybe your husbands knew each other, or your wives knew each other, so you always got together as couples. So some of those relationships really are strong, and they go through the years. Some of us don't have as many of those strong relationships. I had a couple close friends in high school, and then they moved away. And one of my closest friends was somebody who lived in town with me when we both had babies, and we're still friends to this day. Now, we live at a distance, so I can't just call up and say, hey, let's go out and have lunch, because she's nowhere near. But on occasions, I've driven out to her home, which is ways away, or she's been in town and she's come, we've hung out. It's usually like maybe twice a year. But we still talk to each other on the phone and we can share everything. So she's probably my long time friend. And the other person would be my sister, because we've I've lived with her and we've just spent a lot of time together. We always on the phone. So she's a best friend. She's my best friend. So, and then I did have another friend, um, who I knew for 20 years, and traveled with her to her home country in India. And we traveled. We went to Hawaii together, Mexico, and we had a falling out. Somewhere along the way, as people get older, sometimes their brains change. I don't know. I don't know what happened with her, but something went strange with her, and we were on a trip, and it was kind of the end of things. It was like maybe one day we'll reconnect, but not so much now. And then I have another friend in town who I don't get to see terribly often, but she's a good friend, and we do movies together, and occasionally go out to dinner together. But is it like some people? Is it like the vision I want of having a friend around all the time, where they could just have them around. We could go places and do things. I can't even find anybody to take a walk around the local pond together. I can't find anybody. I mean, and I think a lot of people my age, some younger, some older, have this same problem. And they're like, what happened? These people have disappeared from my life. Well, one is because you're not in high school anymore. Two, because over time people move away. Three, they die, which really sucks. So you might have a friend, you've had a friend for years, but they're dead now. Your family dies off. So even your best friend, it could be a sister or something, may not be around. Don't, my sister, if you're watching, not you, no, not me. We're going to hang in here till I'm 99 at least. Okay. So, but you start losing a lot of people. And then they sometimes get caught up in their own lives, for example, the marriage, they don't have, a lot of people say, when my friend got married, they just dumped me. Well, that's true, because now they had the mate to go do things with, and that you're kind of like, out of the picture. So people had so many things happen in life. And when we lose that constant connection, that's when we start feeling like we don't have what we used to think was a normal thing in life, to have a best friend or to have at least good friends. We lose that. We still see people. It's kind of funny. The people that seem to have those lifelong connections, like people, veterans. Some of them have gone overseas and they have fought together. And being in that intense situation makes you, people that hang in there together. I know some people feel that way, have been on police force for 20 years together. So there are people who've gone through, it could be teaching, they've gone through together for 20 years in the same school. So somehow they've gone through the fire together, and that bonds them, because again, a lot of experiences are similar. And then you bond that way, and you have all those memories together, and it keeps you at least in communications, maybe with each other, longer than somebody else. So two people who just pass in the night type of thing. So that's one of the things, is how much time we spent with them. And when people live in smaller towns and don't move, there's more of those intense connections. But in today's world, where we move all over the place and all over the world, we often lose all those intense connections, and it's kind of a sad thing. And as we get older, it gets even worse. So that's a big issue. So we just don't have those constant interactions. Now you might say, well, and I've heard people say this, okay, now that you're older, well, you can join things. You can join Meetup. You can join a church. You can join you can go to the senior center, and you can take classes there. You can join a pickleball group. You can join these different groups. And will that help you get friends? Yes and no. One is, obviously, the more opportunities you have to be with other people, the more opportunity you do have to meet somebody who you might get along with, who might become a friend. On the other hand, you just might go do your activity and go home, because they have their lives, and they just already have their lives. And when they see you, they're like, hey, and you play pickleball, and then they go, oh, great game. And they're just gone. You think, wow, that was that. So you get out of the house for an hour and you hang out with people, but they don't become your friends. And the question would be, a lot of people would wonder, is why aren't they becoming your friends? Well, I strongly believe that we have people that we match well with, that we truly, truly connect with. And it has to do with culture and personality. And when you live in a very intense place like high school, or you were in the army or whatever, you share all those experiences. So the culture is at the moment very similar. And your experiences are very similar. When you meet up with people years later, 30 years later, and you say, you start talking with them about things, it's like they're talking about a world you have no connection with, maybe no interest in, and they think the same thing about you. You tell them about things, they're like, oh, that's really interesting. They could care less, and they can't connect. And culturally, it may just be a cultural thing. It just, when I was raising my kids in the town I was in, because there were a lot of people in that town who grew up together and went to high school, and I moved in, I didn't have that connection. And I would have play groups at my house every week. And I was also the Leche League leader in town. I taught women how to breastfeed. And so all these people are coming to my house and interacting with me, and none of them hung around. And they didn't invite me to their house. Why not? Because I was different from them. I was culturally different from them. And although they could be friendly to me, we didn't click. And it was kind of disappointing. I mean, I was like, wow, I keep all these people around. And luckily I had my one best friend in town. Thank God. She's another homeschooling friend. And again, we clicked because we both homeschooled. We both had husbands from other countries. We both loved animals. So I had lizards and potbelly pigs, and she had some goats stuck in her backyard and parrots. We had so much in common that we clicked. But I've had a very hard time in my life finding people that have that much stuff in common with me, because I'm a little bit weird. So a lot weird. Okay. So I have much more trouble finding groups of people that I fit with. Now, the one group I fit with rather oddly was when I was living in Minnesota. I hooked up with an Indian community, and I danced Bollywood dance, and I got along really well in the Indian culture, which is why I've gone to India 5 times, because for whatever freaky reason, I match the kind of social behaviors over there. I get along with people so well, and I have so much fun, and I'm so much more comfortable. Go figure. Don't even understand it. But you may be in a neighborhood where maybe you don't fit. And if you picked up, let's say you decided, okay, I'm living in Oklahoma, and I decide I want to move to Georgia. If you didn't get along with that many people in Oklahoma and you went to Georgia, you might find you fit in really well. Or you might you might be in Oklahoma and you got along so well there, but your spouse got a job, or your kids moved to Georgia, and you think, oh, I'll go there. And then you get there and you hate living there because you don't fit there at all. And you sometimes can't put your finger on exactly why. But it's a bummer, because you want connections. You want to be friends with people. You want to have a best friend. You really want this to happen. And maybe it just doesn't happen. And I think as you get older, your chances of that happening do get smaller and smaller, and it gets harder and harder. And again, it depends on who you are, because some people will be my age and they'll say, oh my God, I have best friends but probably they've been that way all their lives, and they fit into whatever community really well. And if they can do that, that's fantastic. But sometimes when you're not one of those people and you look at them and you go, why not me? Well, maybe just because you're a little different, and maybe you're just not finding that connection, which is just unfortunate, but it is the way it is sometimes. What do you do about it? All I can say is that don't give up. Keep looking for opportunities to meet people. Keep looking for things to do, so you're not bored out of your mind when you don't have somebody to go do something with. Find any opportunity you can to reach out and connect with people. And it may only be temporary. It may be something, you say, well, I'm taking art classes, and I say I have a great time in art class, but then that's it. I go home. It may be true. And maybe we have to accept that. But it's better to at least do that than do nothing. So any kind of work you can get involved in, paid work, volunteer work, joining in with some. When I went to India, I went on one trip where my friend from a dance class in Maryland, they run a group in India for underprivileged children who need the support to be able to even go to public school. So I supported a couple children, and then they said, hey, you want to come with us on this tour of all these different schools? And I said, sure, why not? I went there for a month and I visited many cities. I went to these different schools. I met so many nice people and I had dinners with people and I was brought up on the stage to they represented me, from the lady from America. And I mean, I had a fabulous time. I really did. I had a wonderful time. I could have just not gone and stayed home, but that was a great opportunity. So if you can find opportunities to be out, family, friends, events, anything, and it's not easy if you're not naturally in a group that works for you, or you naturally just don't happen to still have best friends around, or good friends. You're not the one being invited to lunch. It sucks, but I just say don't give up entirely. Try to find anything you can because it's better than nothing. And then you might get lucky one day. I know I don't have these ridiculous concepts where, for example, I've been single for 20 years and I haven't had a relationship. I haven't found my guy or anything. And people say, oh, Pat, it's not too late. It's not too late. Well, I'm hitting 70. It might be too late pretty soon. Or, I could get lucky, but maybe I'll just live to 90 and never meet anybody. But that might be just the way it is. And I have to make my life as good as I can make my life and not dwell on that as, oh my God, I didn't ever have an opportunity to get remarried. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't. But I could get lucky. And maybe I don't have a ton of friends around to do things with right now, but maybe I'll get lucky in the future. Maybe if I move over to India or spend I don't know, half a year in Hawaii or something, I might find myself a new community. I might work for deaf school and maybe meet people there. I might take classes, places, and it might be just one day I'll get lucky and I'll meet a guy, or I'll get a best friend. I'll meet a woman and I'm like, my God, we have so much fun together. And I might meet a new best friend, or a new good friend, who knows? So don't give up. That's all I want to say, because I've seen a number of shows on, I don't have any friends anymore. And they're really Debbie Downers. They're like, and everybody is like, they're all the messages, coming in, comments on the show are like, me too, I don't have any friends either. It's a bummer, we're just old and oh my good God. Don't get to the point where you entirely give up, okay? Don't be unrealistic, but also look for ways to enhance your life. And, it's better than not doing it. That's all my theory. It's just always better to be positive, not Pollyannish, but be positive and say, okay, what can I do to make my life more interesting, to meet more people? And even if I don't get a best friend, at least my time will be better spent than sitting in my house being depressed. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this. Put your comments below, and always look forward to reading them, and other people do too. So don't forget to do that. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.